Olá pessoal, aqui é o Fernando Carvalho do canal Easy USA. Esse vídeo ele vai ter um formato um pouquinho diferente dos outros vídeos que vocês estão acostumados e vai ser no formato de, não de entrevista, mas assim uma conversa com o meu amigo aqui, Patrick Spike.
Olá!
Ele mora nos Estados Unidos e está visitando o Brasil. Ok, galera, então tô aqui com o Patrick. Eu vou falar, a conversa vai ser em inglês, porque ele ainda tá aprendendo português. You're still learning Portuguese?
Muito.
Um pouquinho.
Fala pouquinho português.
Okay. So, this is your it's your second time in Brazil.
Second time to Brazil.
Let's start this. It's not an interview, it's a conversation, it's a little chat. And as we say here in Brazil, I can lose a friend, but I cannot lose a joke. All right?
Okay.
So tell me, how you call a person who speaks 3 languages?
Trilingual.
Okay, and 2 languages?
Bilingual.
1 language?
One lingual. I don't know.
North American. Well, talking about USA. How much do you know USA? Like, I know you've been at least in East Coast and West Coast, but also in Chicago, Northeast Coast. What other states you've been through?
Gosh. Well, I grew up in Washington. I now live in Oregon. I've lived in California. I've been in Arizona. I've been in New York, Florida, Louisiana. And I've flown through several others, but Illinois, Chicago.
And there's what state?
Hawaii.
There's any state you still would love to know that you've never been there?
Not well. I mean, I'd love to see places. Vermont is supposed to be beautiful in the fall with all the leaves turning
Vermont
colors.
is northeast.
Yeah, eastern. The Carolinas are supposed to be beautiful. I've been to Alabama. I've been to Idaho. I've been to Utah. So a lot of the middle of the country is not very interesting, I think, although I'm sure there are points of interest.
Most of it are farms.
Lots of farmland. Lots of, the populations are much smaller. So New Mexico is supposed to be pretty beautiful. I've never been there. I've never been to Texas, but I don't have a whole lot of desire to go to Texas,
right?
Due to the politics. But there are some beautiful cities. Houston is on the water. Austin is supposed to be very liberal because of the university. So, I'm sure every state has its appeal. But I've been to most of the ones that I'm drawn to.
Right. So, okay, and what state you would never set your foot on? Or let me put this way, what state you are glad never have set foot on? I know you thought about Texas.
Yeah, Texas is the first that comes to mind. It's a very conservative state, and their sort of political views are extremely different than mine. So I tell people that I really have no desire to go to Texas, but as I said, there are some beautiful cities, and I don't want to generalize all the people there. There are some very good people in Texas. So, but that's the first that comes to mind.
So Houston, we got a problem. All right. Well, tell me about how was the bureaucracy to get into Brazil?
Not too bad. basically it was the visa process was a bit complicated.
The reciprocity.
Right, and with us, you have to process it through an embassy. I think it's like here.
Yes.
And the closest embassy to me was San Francisco. So the nice part was I didn't have to go in person. I actually could send a friend. So a friend of mine who lives in San Francisco went on my behalf. I had to send all the materials, and then he went in, and it was very simple. So most of it was just filling out the form, paying the fee,
and sending through mail.
Right, when they send it back to me. So
right.
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, I think it's the same in Brazil. The Brazilian consul, they require from you the same as the United States consul require from the Brazilians to go to the United States to get the visa.
Right.
So,
and pay the fee.
And pay the fee. Even the fee is the same.
Exactly
$160. Right. Okay.
Yeah, and then recently we visited Argentina, and while they don't require a visa, they do require the exact same fee, $160.
Yes, but you have to carry on that.
Yeah, you have to carry a receipt showing that you paid it.
Yeah.
Which they scan. It's got a barcode, and that's good for 10 years, just like the Brazilian visa is good for 10 years.
Yeah. Nós estávamos na Argentina também. Eu viajei com ele para a Argentina a semana passada. I'm talking about the trip to Argentina. E ele também teve que ter o mesmo visto, né? Assim como os Estados Unidos exige do argentino um visto, a mesma coisa, aquela reciprocidade, a lei da reciprocidade que eles chamam. So, okay, let's talk about Brazil. First thing, what do you think about the appearance of our cities? The buildings, I know in the United States, all the buildings and houses, they follow a kind of a similarity, like there's
design themes. Kind of. Yeah, in the U.S., we tend to find within an area, like a living neighborhood or a business district, the construction design or architecture will tend to kind of follow a similar theme, so that when you add a new house to a neighborhood, it doesn't stand out, it blends in. Not that they're all the same, although we have some ugly neighborhoods that are built that way, like tract housing, we call it. There's a commonality to them, so it seems like a cohesive neighborhood.
Right.
And the businesses often tend to do the same. So while they'll have variation, because in a business you want to stand out a little bit, you want to be distinct.
Here's kind of shocking how one building is so different than the other, and one house.
Though at the same time, I often will see businesses are in a row, and they can be so non-distinct, or maybe it's such a jumble that you can't even tell one business stops and another one begins. Which is coupled by the fact that I can't always read the signs, so I don't know what necessarily the business sign means, right? So you might have a pharmacy next to a veterinary, and it's visually, where's the difference?
I remember this condo in the United States. They have at least 3 houses exactly the same inside of the same condo, like the same architecture build
in a condominium building
is the same inside of the same condominium. They have at least 2 houses. They're exactly the same. Like, of course, they are not together.
You mean like a neighborhood you're talking about?
The same neighborhood condo.
What they often do is one developer will develop a whole area, and what they do is they have several different house designs. So this is design A, this is design B, this is design C, and so the buyer can choose, I want that design, and then add customization. Right. So or they'll build several designs, and then buyers just buy what they want. It's easier because then you're not inventing the design every time. You just build another one, which is a form of tract housing, but not quite. It's a little upscale from that, a little nicer. So
Yeah, some of my subscribers, they have asking me about why on my videos, when I show the city or neighborhoods, why there's nobody walking in the street.
Oh.
Like the streets are empty. Even in the downtown, the sidewalks there, you see quite a few people, but not too
as
many
many
people. Not as many as we have here in Brazil.
Yeah,
You see, when you are walking here, and there's a.
I think it depends
it's packed
on
of people in the street.
It depends on where you're at.
Yeah, but I remember when I was in Chicago, it was the same. Of course, there was people walking, but not as São Paulo. Remember in São Paulo when you've been there?
Yeah, that was a lot of people.
A lot of people. So you never see that. Maybe in New York.
Yeah, New York, or in cities like Miami, where the weather's nice.
Right.
People will be out very much like here in Balneário Camboriú, and they're on the waterfront and they're going to cafes. Areas of Portland, where I live, like we went up to that Northwest district. A lot of people walking out there because they're shopping and cafes.
Even though they are not.
Not as many.
Yeah, that is far from you see here. So Brazilians notice that. It's the first thing they notice when they see my videos, and they see there's not many people walking in the street.
I don't know.
Or inside of the supermarkets. I had one video on my channel. The supermarkets were always empty.
Well, that's a big difference. I've noticed. We've talked about that
Here in Brazil.
In Brazil, people shop very frequently. Like, you go to the store and you buy your preparations for
almost
dinner.
every day.
Right. In the U.S., we tend to go to the store for like once a week. And so you'll buy your food for the week and then you take it home and put it in your refrigerator, in your freezer. So we don't visit the store as often, right?
We Brazilians tend to go to the supermarket as a walk. Oh, let's have a walk. Let's go to the supermarket.
Well, and there's so many checkout lanes. You had like 30 checkers at the store we went to, right? That was shocking to me. I mean, even the small number of items line, there were like 12. We have 2,
Right.
because we don't have the volume of people.
Yeah, you also have those automatic.
We have the self-checkouts in some stores, and the parking. Like your grocery store has an enormous parking garage.
Right.
Ours has a little lot outside.
At least ours parking lot, they are undercover.
Yeah. Ours typically aren't. But
almost all the parking lot there at least for supermarkets, they are in open air.
Yeah, they're just open. Yeah.
Right. Well, the next subject is the next question. It's about the houses. You notice that here in Brazil, all the houses are made with concrete
and
bricks. Yeah. What do you think about that? Because for us, it's a shocking. When you see all the houses made of wood.
Most of our houses are made of wood. They have some sort of concrete foundation,
right? Or
either a slab or a foundation with a basement.
It's like a pool.
Yeah, there's a lot of houses, we call it a basement, it's underground. And then from there up, it's typically wood. And then the wall covering is we call plasterboard, where it's like almost like chalk, covered with paper, right?
We call gesso acartonado.
Like a gypsum board is another word for it. And then, shingles on the roof where you often have tile or something.
Yeah, they are made to have a better insulation from cold or...
Yeah, we insulate in the walls. So the walls are either usually 4 inches or 6 inches thick.
Yeah, the first thing Brazilians say when they see this kind of house, they said, oh, that's why when they have tornadoes or...
they blow away.
They blow away and there's nothing standing.
I think a lot of it is for insulation because we get colder in the winters, depending on where you're at. If you go to the southern states like Florida, Southern California, you'll find a lot more actually brick and concrete construction. Florida, most of the homes are built out of a brick.
Yeah, sometimes I used to answer that question saying that, if they have a tornado, it's easy to put it back.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
yeah, you know,
to construct everything
Yeah,
in.
I think most of it is one for insulation for the cold, and two, you don't do well with wood because of the moisture. And that's the same in our like state of Florida. There's a lot of moisture in the air. So gypsum board and wood would absorb it, and you'd have mold, mildew, rotting, things like that, which they can't tolerate. So in those states, you'll find construction very similar to here. We use a concrete block. We call it a cinder block, and then the houses are built out of that.
And that insect, what's the name? Termites. Termites.
Yeah.
You don't have problem with
pests.
termites. They're when
Not
it's
so
cold
much in the northern
because
states.
of the cold.
Yeah.
Termites, they're no.
Yeah, we have more problems with what's called dry rot. If you get moisture in the walls, then the wood.
So maybe in Florida or in the southern states, they maybe have problem with termites.
Termites, they get much more insects. Flying termites, they get mosquitoes,
here.
all that stuff. They spray. One time I was visiting a friend, and we were sitting out in the pool at night, and this truck drove down the road that we could see with this cloud of dust, like smoke behind it. And I asked what it was, and it was a chemical spray for bugs. So they drive through the streets at night and spray this insecticide.
The whole neighborhood.
Yeah, I was like, and people breathe this?
Right. Well, remember when
it's
we
perfectly
were
safe. Yeah.
we were in a plane to Argentina?
Yeah.
They
It's like,
spray all over
Yeah.
the airplane.
Yeah.
A spray for, I don't know, insects.
Yeah.
They're not allowed
For germs.
they don't want to import insects from Brazil. But they can go flying, not inside of their airplanes.
Thinking what? Of course. If you say so.
Não. Então, pessoal, eu vou dar uma pausa aqui no vídeo e no próximo vídeo continua a nossa entrevista. Falou?